Hi, everybody. It's Barbara Schwartz, CEO at Acu Weight Loss, The Beat Diet, and welcome to our Monday night Facebook Live Q&A. I'm here to help answer questions and help you on a better path to health. So I first wanted to give you an update. I will do a quick video diary when this is done, but as many of you know, and I've been posting a daily or almost daily video diary that kind of helped rein in some stress eating that I had recently. I went back on AccuWeight myself. So today is day 7, I guess. Yes, I started last Tuesday. So today is day 7. I have not weighed myself in the past few days because for me it's more about how I feel. But I do promise you to weigh in tomorrow so that after a full 7 days I can tell you how I'm doing on the scale. But I have to say I'm feeling so much better just by, kind of holding to the structure of AccuWeight. I've reined in my stress eating. I've returned to my other stress management tools. And I won't tell you I'm not tempted. I mean, I'm human and I am a stress eater. But the tools that I've put in play in the past 15 years really serve my maintenance and they're real stress relievers. And stress eating is really swallowing down the feelings. And it does give you a temporary relief, but it's not really releasing the stress. And we do need our other tools. We need outlets. And as I always say, stress needs outlets. All emotions need outlets. And food is really an inlet forcing us to hold it down. And ultimately, if we are swallowing down those emotions, we are wearing them. And that is the IBS, and that is spasticolins, which is another name kind of for IBS. That is acid reflux. That is ulcers. That is so high blood pressure, right? They're holding in emotions and holding in stress can manifest over time. If you're doing it for a long period of time, it can manifest in a lot of different diseases. And I don't want to go down that path. And that's why I'm so glad I recognized my behavior and I was able to put a stop to it. And again, I am human. By no means am I not tempted to go back to the stress eating. I will tell you, like, last night before, again, I'm dealing with some single mom babysitting issues, and just meaning don't have, and need to figure it out because I do need childcare when I'm with all of you. And, it is stressing me out. And I tend to night stress eat because I am weakest in the evenings, especially when I'm tired. And I've been working 2-3 in the morning. And yeah, that's when I am weakest and I usually give in. And I have definitely felt myself wanting to go to the kitchen. But what's been terrific is what's been helping me as a reminder, because it's my weakest moment, I've put a couple of sticky notes in the cabinet onto my go-to crunchy foods. And they remind me, go get some tea. And honestly, I wasn't as proactive. I hadn't planned to go back on AccuWeight. It was a last minute decision. I'm really glad I did, but I didn't shop in advance for things like natural sugar-free candies and the Dr. John's lollies and my usual go-tos. And I haven't been using them recently, so I didn't have any in the house. And I have essentially given up all artificial sweetener. But I decided a little artificial sweetener, not excessive, but a little bit in my world was better than stress eating. So I did buy some sugar-free mints, and I have been using them, and that's really been helpful for me. Hi, Doc Abby. That's really been helpful for me in reining it in is, when I need it, I'm popping a sugar-free mint in my mouth, and granted, it's one that I bought in the pharmacy, and it has some artificial sweetener. And when I found myself on a milk day without the food that I planned, then I wound up going to Starbucks and I got myself a sugar-free vanilla steamer with whole milk. And their sugar-free vanilla syrup does have some Splenda in it. but I decided that a little bit wasn't going to hurt me. It's not my ideal. I like being all natural, but right now, getting control of the stress was the highest priority. Hi, Christy, welcome. Getting control of the stress eating was my priority because that was the biggest disservice to me right now. The bottom line is these artificial sweeteners are a temporary stopgap while I wait for the stuff that I've ordered to arrive. And then I'll have the tools that I need. So it's a really short-term compromise. Everybody's going to make their own decisions. That's what I chose. And I'll share that tonight a little bit in also my video diary. But I just wanted to share with all of you. We are human, and sometimes we have to make a compromise to get one thing that's a priority over another. And that's everything in life, right? Life in the world is not perfect. So sometimes we have to make some compromises, and that includes, hey, right now getting healthy is my priority. And AccuWeight is healthy, it's fast, it works. But the structure of that weight loss plan that is very healthy and fast means that I'm eating noon to 6 and I'm eating specific foods, and it's great for my body and it's great for my health, but it does compromise my social life a little bit. And I can also pick and choose how that compromises it. I can choose to go out and be honest with the people I'm going out with, or I can choose to stay home and skip out some of my social time. But just like anything in life, to get what we want, right? It's also a compromise to say, I'm going to go out every time I'm invited to something social, and I'm overweight and I'm on medication and I'm not feeling well and my knees ache and my back aches and I hate that I'm on insulin and I hate that I'm on meds, but I'm compromising my health because I'm choosing to go out all the time. So again, each thing is a choice and a set of compromises. It's just a matter of looking at our priorities and saying what's the right compromise for you. So again, short term for myself, I decided not excessive. When I'm home, I'm using the all natural. But again, for some sugar-free candy support and in a pinch on a milk day, I've used some artificial sweetener and I'm okay. I'm okay, but I'm on track and it's helping me through the moments of temptation to get something else. And again, the structure of the program, I feel great. So my head's in the zone. And so in some ways I don't find it very challenging, but you know what, look, I had my milk day today and then I fed my daughter her chicken and broccoli and foods that I love. You know, at 6 o'clock, I was sitting down to feed her dinner and I sat with her through dinner. And there were moments, you know, she's offering me, here, mommy, taste. And I said, you know what, sweetheart, you know, mommy's doing AccuWeight right now. And I always joke, you know, my daughter, future CEO of AccuWeight. And so she understands what it is. It doesn't mean she's happy about it, but she respects it. And she knows that mommy's feeling better. And I don't hide it from her. I just say, you know, doing a few weeks or whatever, however long I need to do it makes me feel better. And when I feel better, I'm happier. When I'm happier, you're happier. So I'm doing this for all of us, right? So it's okay, right? I was able to sit through dinner and feed her. The key was I didn't say to her, I can't sit at dinner with you. I said, remember that when we sat down and I was having that chocolate milkshake? And for those of you, I posted it earlier. I was making the chocolate shake and we videoed it. And actually, that was my daughter who filmed it. It was so yummy looking to begin with that she stole the first one and she drank it. And I had to make a second one for myself. But I said, remember, because she said, Mommy, aren't you eating dinner? And I said, remember when we sat at the table and Mommy had the chocolate milkshake and you had one too? That was Mommy's dinner. And for you, that might be something you drink with dinner, but because Mommy's doing a milk day, that milkshake really was my dinner. And she's like, oh, okay, Mommy. But again, so she sat with me while I ate, and I sat with her while she ate. So again, it's all about finding things that work for you and some minor compromises. And sometimes they're major compromises. Most of them are minor compromises because it is all short term. But the more focused we stay and the more compromises we're willing to make, to put our health first, the faster we get to our goal and on to putting a lot of the restrictions behind us, right? Because now we're moving to maintenance mode. Christy said, gave up Diet Coke years ago. I have one every milk day right now if it helps. See, and that's the thing, right? Sometimes it's nice to give ourselves an old treat, and it's guilt-free. By the way, Christy, to share with you, when it comes to Diet Coke, same thing. I gave up Diet Coke years ago, but it was something years ago. Many of you know, I used to work for Warner Brothers, and in the whole studio system, we used to laugh. It was coffee and Diet Coke. It was like intravenous. We always used to joke, like if we gave blood, blood wouldn't come out, it would be coffee and Diet Coke. I haven't had a Diet Coke really in years, but when I'm having temptation, especially in Manhattan, as many of you know, I work in New York City. And Susan, hi, how are you? It's great to see you. When I'm walking down the street, we all know between all the restaurants and those street vendors, there are aromas going up our noses all the time. And every now and then I'm incredibly tempted by the aromas. But my attitude is, it's one thing if I choose to have that thing again. Other than at the moment, I'm typically on maintenance and I can have what I want within reason and in moderation. But I don't want it just because I smell it and now I'm tempted. It's another thing to decide that's my meal or my snack and I go to buy it. It's another thing to react to aroma. So that's when I use the Qigong in the way that we've trained all of you. And for those of you who don't remember how, number one, is online, and we're always happy to give you a refresher. So all you have to do is reach out and ask. But what I love to do, because again, Diet Coke used to be a go-to for me, and I don't drink it anymore. My little treat is that I'll walk up to the street vendor or walk into the shop where the aroma is getting me. And it's like my own personal success story is walk up to the place where that temptation exists. And instead of buying the thing that the aroma tempted me into, I buy the Diet Coke. And I go sit down somewhere and I do my 4 Qigong breaths, and then I take a few sips of Diet Coke. And I'm like, the inner child is like, love that. But honestly, a few sips is more than enough for me. And I toss the rest of the can or the bottle. It's just about reining in that control, getting rid of the fact that the aroma created some temptation, and that old connection to something that I haven't had in a long time. And again, not having it on a regular basis, better for my health, but a few sips once in a blue moon. I'm a big believer in moderation, and if, giving it up on excess is better for my health, but having it on occasion and allowing me to have a tool that pushes away behavior that will compromise my maintenance, well, those few sips are worth it to me. So I appreciate what you're saying, Christy, because I kind of use it in a similar context. And that's something too. Remember that the Qigong has cumulative effect. So the more you're practicing it, even once or twice a day, and that's typically what I do, whenever I can, first thing in the morning, but last thing at night, lying in bed. If you just do those 2 times a day, over the weeks and over the months, it will be life-changing for you. And again, I still use it as a tool for maintenance to push away tempting aromas when they don't serve me. It's really, really special, and we don't talk about it enough, is the benefits of the Qigong. So I really do use it as a tool. Hi, Deborah, welcome. So I wanted to kind of start with that this evening and just give you a little update again, but I'm feeling so much better. I know in the 6 days, again, today's ending day 7, the bloat is definitely down. My clothes are already fitting better, but my head's in the zone. And as I've mentioned to many of you, even though my weight until fairly recently with the stress eating, my weight has been very stable. Menopause shifts things around, and I have not had a dedicated workout or gym schedule or exercise routine really since my daughter's born. And that's a little self-sabotage, not having that exercise routine for me, especially in menopause. So although my weight was stable, I'm watching things, the body shifting, that is not so attractive. So number one, I did recently join a gym. I'm also going to try our new Xiamo relationship. I'm going to take advantage of that. And I'm taking advantage of AccuWeight. I'm using it now that I'm in the zone. I'm using it to kind of reshape my body. I know that I am pear-shaped. We all know our personal shape. Some of us are apples, some of us are pears. I'm very pear-shaped. But the beautiful part for me is 15 years ago when I embarked on my first AccuWeight journey, really to lose my weight from having gained weight and become overweight. I became more hourglass shaped than I'd ever been in my whole life. It was really, really exciting to just have more of a girlish figure. You know, I'm not very top anything. So to be a little more curvy, but a little less bottom heavy was really exciting for me. Not to have huge thighs that were bumping against each other felt great. And recently they're starting to rub together again. Now, again, the week on AccuWeight, I was at the pool yesterday. Many of you have seen from my daily video. And they're not rubbing together so much anymore. But I want more of that. I want to improve that. So I'm going to keep on the bandwagon, actually, to just continue reshaping myself. And then once I reach my body goal within AccuWeight, I'm going to get into a heavier exercise routine. Now, I'm saying this not because I can't start to exercise while on AccuWeight. We encourage it. It's not required, but we encourage it. But I want people to see the results without exercise, to actually understand that AccuWeight works and you're going to get the results whether or not you're exercising. The exercising is going to tone the muscles and it's going to make you feel great and it's going to improve other health. Right? We're going to strengthen bones. We're going to increase aerobic ability. And again, great stress reliever. But I like people to see that, you know, you're going to get the results whether or not you're exercising. So I'm intentionally not exercising now, just so people can actually see honest results without exercise. And then I'm going to start my exercise regimen, we hope. I'm carving out a plan about finding that work-life balance, but we all know that's a challenge. And I hope to get there, and I'll keep you abreast of that as well. So let's start digging into questions. And if you have any, do feel free to post them in comments or text me. I do have my phone right here, so you can text if you want them a little more private. But let me talk about some things that came up over the past few days. And a lot of it specifically was about having health issues, being on medications, and wondering if it is safe to be on AccuWeight. So I want to answer some of those. And then the other thing that's come up quite a lot is maintainers and some of the challenges that they've been facing in these summer months. And just, you know, people who are on the program are asking a lot about what maintenance looks like. So those are going to be my two key topics for tonight to kind of focus on. Oh, and then the other thing is I'm just going to revisit what we talk about all the time, which is water weight. But again, it's come up quite a few times in the past few days. And again, there are new clients who haven't seen all the resources, so it never hurts to revisit. So let me start with the first few questions that came up. Actually, I should mention, just in case for this week, our wonderful colleagues Jill and Madeline both happen to be on vacation on the same week, and Fern is still on personal leave. So when it comes to AccuWeight online chat, and the Facebook online community, usually I've got a lot of support from our wonderful team, but they are all away this week. So it's all me. So if it's taking a little longer to get back to you, I apologize, but one person this week. So bear with me, but I promise that if you've reached out with a question or you need assistance, I will get back to you. So let me mention, they're all on very well-deserved breaks, but that does mean I'm wearing on these little shoulders, actually pretty big shoulders. I'm wearing all the support outside of the offices this week. So I appreciate your patience and bearing with me. I should mention, best way to reach me for quickest response is text. Okay, so if you really have something that's very time sensitive, please text me. And as a reminder, my cell phone number, 845-553-0770. Okay, so question that came up a couple of times today is, actually today, over the past few days, are potential clients who've said that they have sometime in the past had their gallbladder removed. And they were concerned about the milk and the whole milk because the gallbladder stores bile, and bile helps us emulsify fats. So they were a little concerned about whether or not Accuvate was something they could do and whether or not it was safe. And I mention it also because even though we ask for medical history, often clients even on the program didn't tell us when they joined that they do not have their gallbladder anymore. And we've been including it automatically with materials, but not everybody reads everything that they're sent. So I just want to clarify for people that yes, Accuvate is safe if you have had your gallbladder removed. We do recommend some digestive enzymes that will help with the fat burning emulsifying process. Dr. Chu, my dad's mentor, had highly recommended, even if I should say post-Accuvate, when you're in maintenance, that these digestive enzymes will make a huge difference if you no longer have your gallbladder. What I'll also mention is he had left my dad a really interesting protocol for if you're somebody who's suffering from gallstones, a simple 1-month gallstone flush that seems to be incredibly effective that can actually help prevent the need for removal of gallbladder. So if you're somebody who has a history of gallstones and you'd like that one we don't keep publicly published, but we are happy to share. I have shared it with a few people in the past that I'm aware of who had, prior to Accuvate, had actually scheduled gallbladder removal, and their surgeons approved them trying this gallbladder flush prior to surgery, and they were able to cancel their surgery. So that was really exciting for me to see it in action. But the most important thing to know is there are some digestive enzymes that you really should be taking if you don't have a gallbladder. And I realized that I was looking, sorry, I'm looking at another computer screen over here, that we don't have it posted under our special plans, and I'm going to make sure that all of our different medical handouts, as I mentioned, Madeline does our website. So when she gets back, I'm going to have her next week add all of those so they're readily available at the website. In the interim, if there are any of the medical handouts that you think you need and you've missed or that you've misplaced, do feel free to email or text me, and I'd be happy to send that to you until they're on the website. So that was number one, is gallbladder. I should also mention, if you do, because of lack of gallbladder or for any other reason, are unable to use dairy, we do have our vegan alternatives. And I was discussing it with somebody earlier today. Again, over the past year or so, there's some terrific vegan alternatives that are, for the first time, a 1-for-1 substitution with cow's milk. And number one is, a lot of people, if you're lactose intolerant and you don't mind dairy, goat's milk is more gentle on a lactose intolerant stomach. So a lot of people who can't handle cow's milk can drink goat's milk. Also great for making goat cheese. That we always had a list of vegan alternatives, but these vegan plant-based alternatives always needed some kind of supplementation, and often a lot of supplementation. And the new plant protein milks, really fluids, they're based on pea protein, PEA protein. The really exciting news is 20 ounces is 20 ounces. So you're getting adequate protein, you're getting adequate fats, nutritionally, they're really balanced. And the quick list is Ripple Milk. The website is ripplefoods.com. Bolthouse Farms. Bolthouse Farms has many different products, so you'd be looking for what they call their plant protein milk. And Silk has recently come out with what they call nut protein milk. So those are the three main brands. No supplementation required, but cow's milk does have CLA, and CLA is conjugated linoleic acid. It's naturally occurring in cow's milk. It is from grass feeding, so the organic grass-fed cows and therefore the organic grass-fed cow-generated milk has higher levels of CLA than the others, but CLA helps emulsify fat, especially right around our belly. So if you want that extra level of support, and we know how wonderful AccuWeight is at giving us, as I mentioned, that curvy figure, then you can get yourself, if you're using one of these vegan protein milks, you can get some CLA. It is an over-the-counter supplement, and you would just follow the instructions on the bottle at the pharmacy or health food store where you pick it up. And again, it's available online. So again, that's called CLA, or conjugated linoleic acid. So again, somebody who has had their gallbladder removed, if you're having dairy issues or issues with whole fat, and again, with the digestive enzymes, you shouldn't have any issues. But if you are, you can use one of these vegan alternatives. Other question that came up is diabetes. Is this safe for somebody with diabetes? They were concerned about caloric intake, not eating in the morning. There were a lot of concerns raised. And I should mention there's still the two different kinds of diabetes. There's diabetes 1 and diabetes 2. With diabetes 1, the pancreas isn't doing its job anymore. It's not working, and usually you're living on an insulin pump of some sort. The great news is we've had great success working with our clients with diabetes type 1. They often are seriously challenged in weight loss, and we've had significant success. Nobody knows how to regulate their insulin better than they do themselves. So, we don't go down that path, but again, always happy to interact with their medical doctors when necessary. So if you have any questions or want us to speak with your doctor, do feel free. But the answer is yes, it is safe, effective, it works. The key is when we work with anybody with diabetes, we do provide you a chart for tracking your insulin over the first 2 weeks. And also focus, let's say, diabetes type 2. The biggest issue is in that first 2 weeks, blood sugars are starting to normalize, so they may vary a bit. We do help regulate with using tools like hard-boiled eggs and honey dissolved in hot tea or hot water. And we have a handout that we provide for diabetics that does help guide them. We provide you a chart to follow, or actually to track, your blood sugar first thing in the morning, your fasting blood sugar, and your bedtime blood sugar for a 2-week period of time. So this way you have a record that you're able to fax or bring into your medical doctor so that they can see the pattern of regulation. And as the body starts to normalize, your insulin will, or any medication that you're on, it may be metformin, there may be other things, but any medication that you may be on will need regulation at some point in time. So we provide you a chart to make it very simple to provide to your medical doctor. Again, if there's questions, we're always happy to speak with your doctor to give them the best picture of what's going on, so we can explain the science to them from a medical perspective. With that said, the intermittent fasting being, our hours of eating from noon to 6 is actually, if studies are showing that for diabetics, that is the healthiest period of time. Is a 6-hour window in the midday hours is actually one of the healthiest things that you can do for regulating your blood sugar. And there are more and more studies coming out saying that, and we're like, yay, see, things we've known for over 20 years are actually coming to light in the medical journals. So it is incredibly safe and actually effective for someone with blood sugar issues. I should also mention then the converse, which is somebody with hypoglycemia. obviously the answer for hypoglycemic is often small mini meals eaten throughout the day will regulate blood sugar. But if you're eating when your body doesn't need it, it's also often making you gain weight because you're eating more than your body needs. You're taking in calories that your body doesn't need because what it really needs is a way to regulate the blood sugar. So we do have a protocol for people with low blood sugar. And if you've never been diagnosed, and that does happen to a lot of people, if you wake up in the morning, you tend to be shaky, or at times when you haven't eaten, you get a little shaky and you eat, and then you feel better, that is a symptom of low blood sugar. Women, over 70% of women are not hypoglycemic all month, but right around their menstrual cycle they are. So if you're experiencing any of these symptoms, like again, I wake up, I'm a little shaky, my teeth are on edge, if I don't get something, I'm either gonna scream or cry. These can all be symptoms of some low blood sugar. Somebody also mentioned foggy vision. Foggy vision is typically, and it was a diabetic who was concerned, foggy vision is often a sign of low potassium. We've all talked about the dehydration, the need for electrolytes. Potassium is one of our electrolytes, and many diabetics do have some issue with regulated potassium. So if you're experiencing foggy vision, I'll say one of two things. If you're lactose intolerant, and if we don't get enough adequate fat in our diet, we do see people who, again, still don't believe us that we're using whole milk, and they're using low-fat milk, even though we told them whole milk. If you're not getting enough fat in your diet, it can give a brain fog or a little foggy vision. But if your potassium is low, it will often reveal itself as some blurry vision or spots before your eyes. Again, we know sometimes if you look into a light, you get that. But if you're seeing it on a consistent basis where there's a little foggy vision, very often it is inadequate potassium in your diet. Again, we are not providing the medical support, but we will guide you on what are the right questions to take to your doctor to ensure that you're getting the right levels of your medication and supplements. So at the end of the day, for medication regulation, you will be turning back to your doctor, but we have a lot of experience. Remember, over 20 years of experience, and we've worked with thousands of people with these conditions. So we're able to guide you if you're having any issues, or if you have questions, or you want to bring them to your doctor, we can help guide you on what to ask so that you're getting the guidance that you need and the right support sooner than later, right, versus trial and error. Similarly, didn't particularly come up, but I want to touch on high blood pressure, cholesterol, triglycerides, low blood pressure. These are all conditions that we've worked with, again, thousands of people. Diabetes and high blood pressure, we often see the initial correction as quickly as 2 weeks. It's really exciting to be able to see an improvement in your health as quickly as 2 weeks. That's a big deal. But in general, you're going to see an improvement overall in your numbers. And usually what happens is the next time you go to your doctor and you have your annual exam, they're going to say, hey, blood work's looking better. Let's adjust those meds. So often there are no symptoms at all when cholesterol is improving, when blood pressure is improving, triglycerides. Overall, we see tremendous improvement in these things. So I'll go back to it is healthy. We've never come across a medical condition that we can't work with or adapt to. Some medical conditions or medications do require adaptation. And keep in mind, too, if you are on meds, again, we work with a lot of people on antidepressants, again, we're working with a lot of people post-cancer. Unfortunately, a lot of cancer maintenance drugs do result in weight gain. So we work with people with a lot of conditions. The only things we really don't work with, and actually even recently we've made some exceptions to that, is women who are pregnant. And by the way, it is not dangerous. If you've become pregnant while on Acuvate, just let us know. We gently wean you off of Acuvate and onto your OBGYN recommended diet. So it's not a dangerous thing. Just checking, sorry, texts are popping up. I want to make sure if there's questions from you. So it's not dangerous to the fetus. But as the baby is growing, there's not enough nutrition for both of you, and the baby will get the nutrition first. And we don't want you, the mom, to become depleted. So if you find yourself pregnant, we will wean you off Acuvate, and you're welcome to return after the baby arrives. And I want to say, actually, congratulations to client Amber, who is going through that situation right now. She found out just this morning. So congratulations. Or actually, I think she's found out because she has taken a break, but she just let us know. So I think she's hit that period of time where she's telling people. So congratulations. For women who are nursing, while you are going through nursing, again, the breast milk is getting the nutrition first to feed the baby. There's not enough nutrition on Acuvate to support both of you, which is why, as a general rule, we don't work with women who are nursing for at least 2 weeks after weaning. Once you've weaned for at least 2 weeks, you've already signaled the body that that's not the primary source of nutrition for the child, and the body is starting to lactate significantly less, if not at all, and then it is not a problem to be on Acuvate. Now, I will say we've made an exception for a few times. We're working with a client right now who just called saying, okay, Acuvate, I did great. I never got to finish my journey because I became pregnant. I really want to hop on this as soon as I can, and I can't wait. But I am breastfeeding, but I can't wait. So what we're doing is, again, we're not promising 15 pounds in a month. We've created a modified plan for her. And so that modified plan is making it nutritionally sound for her to be both breastfeeding and on Acuvate at the same time. Just she'll lose a little more slowly. So the bottom line is, if you're experiencing any kind of medical condition, speak to us. We're here to help. But more often than not, if you have some kind of medical condition, most have improvement while on Acuvate and losing the weight. I will also mention, if you are having surgery, recovering from surgery, especially with recovering from surgery, depending on what it is, we could either put you on a modified plan if needed. But during healing, especially like somebody's recovering from rotator cuff surgery, again, piecing together bones, things like that. Often for the healing process, you need a bit more protein. So we do offer a modified plan for people who are recovering from surgery to ensure there is adequate protein to support the healing process. And again, if you're recovering from surgery, there's a good chance you're off your feet. We want to make sure that that lack of activity doesn't result in weight gain. So if you've already been overweight, we don't want to exacerbate that condition. We want to improve on that health position, and we want to make sure that that lack of movement and mobility isn't actually causing you to gain more. So the great news is we do have modifications that you can use. I should also mention low blood pressure. If you easily get lightheaded when you stand up, if you don't have enough, I had somebody who said to me, oh, pre-Acuvate, if I don't have enough sodium in my diet, I faint. Well, that's a symptom of low blood pressure. Often it's corrected with an adequate amount of electrolytes, but sometimes you do need some ongoing supplementation, and it needs to be managed. So it's really important not to ignore that. Obviously, if you're fainting on a regular basis, there's an imbalance, and it's important to address that. So anyway, I am going to kind of stop the medical stuff here unless anybody has some specific questions. So you can post, and I will come back to that. So let's move on to menstruation and water weight. I had somebody in the online community just earlier today asking whether or not having your period has an impact to your weight loss. And to the scale. And so I'm going to say the obvious. Most women, and I won't say all, we're all a little unique, but most women get bloated when they have their period. And most women don't realize it typically happens to us also at the time of ovulation. It's hormones. It's not your food, it's your hormones. But water is dense, and water weighs a lot because of the density. It's a small amount of water that doesn't take up a lot of space is significantly heavier than other things in our body. So as a reminder, 16 ounces equals a pound. This is a half-liter bottle of water. This is 16.9 ounces. That means it's 1 pound and almost 1.1 pounds in this tiny little bottle. Well, I drink a heck of a lot of these in a day. Now, when I drink a bottle of water like this, I don't feel bloated, right? I feel hydrated. Well, this is over a pound. So if you were feeling bloated, how many pounds of water do you think you're actually holding to feel it in your fingers, to feel it in your feet, to feel it in your abdomen? Like, we're carrying a few pounds of water. Most women will report somewhere between a 3 and 5 pound gain during their period. Now, I'll say the average is 2 to 5, but most women report that, and I'm not talking about while on AccuWeight, just in their day-to-day lives. Most women retain 3 to 5 pounds of fluid during their menstrual cycle. Well, again, it doesn't take a lot of fluid to make that up, right? So you didn't do anything wrong. Forgive yourself. It's hormones. It's natural. It's going to happen. It's not food related. That water is not being stored in your fat cells. It's temporary, and it's going to be released by your body. Ultimately, it's overeating. By the way, it's not just overeating carbs. People don't realize when you overeat protein, protein breaks down into amino acids and carbohydrates, and those excess carbs, they get stored in the fat cells. So overeating results in our fat cells, right? Yeah, there's my pound of fat. Our fat cells store excess sugars. So when we overeat, we are storing fat. Now again, this is a half liter of water. This weighs over a pound, yet this is a pound of fat. Fat is not dense, water is dense. So ultimately, a little bit of fat gain and we feel puffy. I won't say bloated, we feel puffy, right? All of a sudden, it's a whole different feeling to feel like we've gained weight versus we've gained bloat. So when you feel bloated, usually you're retaining water, weather change, exercise routine change, medication, menstrual cycle, excess consumption of sodium. But when we're really storing fat, there's a significant change in our body, but not necessarily a significant change on the scale. So understand that while you're on AccuWeight, you're burning the fat. You'll feel your clothes continue to get looser, but the scale may be up during your menstrual cycle. And it's because we are on a monthly cycle. And I will mention again, men retain water too. They're also on a monthly cycle, but because they don't menstruate and their hormones are different than ours, on average, they only retain fluid a total of 3 to 5 days a month. Women on average retain water 5 to 8 days a month. It's much more likely that we're going to experience it and notice it on the scale. Most men don't. But remember that when you are retaining fluid, when you're having a hormonal surge, when you're retaining water, you're not storing body fat. You're not getting long-term bigger. You haven't gained weight. You've gained fluid. The fluid will pass. Again, if you're experiencing edema or some other medical condition, definitely reach out to a healthcare provider. There's something else going on in your body. But we're talking regular day-to-day bloated feeling or monthly bloated feeling. So especially while in the weight loss phase, you're losing inches. While you are experiencing your menstrual cycle and you're feeling bloated, you're still burning the fat. And once the water weight passes, you're going to experience how your clothes fit better. So there's no menstrual sabotage to your fat burning and your ultimate weight loss goal. But again, sometimes we have discomfort. Sometimes we want our period clothes, and that's okay. But don't beat yourself up. There's nothing you can change in your diet that is going to change the hormonal surge. Now, there are some supplements and things you can take that can help manage it, straight from my gyno, because I used to have some serious menstrual issues. A good B complex can help level out some of the hormonal surges. So a good B complex, usually a vitamin B50 complex or vitamin B100. So talk to your gynecologist about what might be best for you. But usually good B complex will help. And for those of you experiencing menstrual cycle moodiness or PMS, if you feel that kind of emotional up and down, if you feel like your teeth are on edge, you might be experiencing some hormonally driven blood sugar issues. If you're somebody who experiences that, do reach out to us. We are happy to share the low blood sugar plan. Now, it's published in a way that is a 4-week plan to help somebody with constant or consistent low blood sugar or diagnosed with hypoglycemia manage that. And again, as I mentioned, I'm going to have Madeline post all of the medical handouts onto the website, so it's available to everyone. But if you're someone who experiences those types of things specifically around your menstrual cycle, you'll just follow the protocol or the plan for week 1. And I usually recommend, if you know when your monthly cycle is, if you're pretty regular, a day or 2 ahead of when your symptoms start, that's when you would start following the plan. Essentially, erratic blood sugar can make us really moody, right? Because when our blood sugar is high, we're hyper, right? You ever see a kid after they've had a bunch of candy, they're bouncing off the walls. So we're really happy and we might be hyper when our blood sugar is high. But we can feel really depressed and angry and low and lashing out when our blood sugar drops. And it's almost like we're mini bipolar temporarily. And those are blood sugar dips and spikes. And we want to level that out. And so kind of to level it out, so instead of going like this, we're more like this. That's when we've talked about it for use with exercise and even with hot weather, is taking a teaspoon of honey and dissolving it hot in tea or hot water. But the key is not doing it randomly. The way to help manage and balance our blood sugar is to do it at regular intervals. So if it's extreme for you, then we recommend, and I'll mention because also people were asking me, I hear some of my friends using hard-boiled eggs. Are they on AccuWeight? No, as a general rule, hard-boiled eggs are not part of AccuWeight, but they are used as part of some of the medical protocols. For example, I was just talking about, again, supplementing for a woman who is breastfeeding yet on AccuWeight. So that's one of our tools, is some hard-boiled eggs. So if you're someone who experiences menstrual issues and you know that you've got that moodiness and you want to see if it could be blood sugar, again, a day or 2 before your symptoms normally start, for 1 week, every morning you can have half a hard-boiled egg with some salt. Then every 4 hours, like clockwork, it's really important to create the pattern, right? Why do we do 2, 2, 2, 2? We're massaging our beads every 2 hours. The body and the brain responds to patterns. So we're going to create a pattern for the body to recognize when it's getting the sugar. Every 4 hours. So you can align it with every 2 bead massages. You're going to take 1 teaspoon of honey and you're going to dissolve it in hot tea or hot water, and you're going to drink it, and you're going to do that every 4 hours. You don't have to wake up overnight, but for all the time that you're awake. So you're going to start your day with half a hard-boiled egg with some salt. If you don't eat hard-boiled eggs, you can skip it. And every 4 hours, like clockwork. So if you're skipping the egg, 2 teaspoons of honey first thing in the morning, dissolved in the hot tea or hot water. Then every 2 hours, like clockwork, 4 hours, every second bead massage, that's what I meant. So every 4 hours, you can dissolve that hot tea or honey in hot tea or hot water, and you're going to drink it for a duration of typically 5 to 7 days. If you know that your symptoms typically last 3 to 5, I would take it 5 days out. If you have a longer period of time during your menstrual cycle that you experience this, go the whole 7 days. You don't need it past the 7 days if it's only related to menstruation. By the way, even if you're not on Activate, if you're a maintainer and you know that you have these symptoms, give it a try. I didn't really fully develop, my dad had some plans already in existence when I joined him, but we honed things since I joined Activate. So the blood sugar plan didn't really exist when I was a client, or not in this way. And also, we weren't fully educated. It's something I learned more about when I was in school. So it was after I was a client. I learned more about blood sugar and blood sugar balancing, especially with menstruation. It is something we actually studied while I was in school. And I was somebody who had really serious mood swings. And I started to follow the blood sugar plan, and this was post-Activate, me on maintenance. And again, I'm in menopause now, so I don't really tend to experience this significantly, but I'll get it for about a day and a half. But I started using this blood sugar plan, and night and day, I won't say all, but 90% of my extreme moodiness disappeared. And I won't promise it'll work for everybody, but I bet it works for most of you. So again, if you have questions, it will be published online, and do feel free to reach out to me if you need it sooner than later. But be kind to yourself. Water weight happens, but water weight is temporary. Water weight is not typically food related. And again, if you consume some sodium or excess sodium, you might be retaining some fluid, but it's temporary. It's not body fat. And again, unless you have edema, and that's a whole different kind of swelling, if you have medical edema, please speak to a medical professional. But that aside, some temporary water weight, be kind to yourself. It's temporary. You didn't get fatter. Again, storing sugar, you got fatter. If you're not overeating, and especially if you're in the weight loss plan and you're trimming down, it's just a number on the scale. You know what's gone on. Be kind to yourself. If it's not a time where you are ready for a big change, then you know what? Avoid the scale for a few days. That's okay. And as a reminder, because I have many clients who are away on vacation now or getting ready to go away in these summer holidays, air travel makes us retain gas and fluid. So you will have similar symptoms, maybe not the blood sugar ones, but you will have similar symptoms with water retention, making the scale go up after air travel. Again, our bodies weren't built to be at 30,000 feet. It's really cool that mankind has figured out how to fly around the planet and make our connection to each other that much simpler. But our body, even though the air cabin is pressurized, our body doesn't want to collapse, so it's pushing out by taking in fluid and gas. It is temporary, but it will happen. That's why most people will experience their shoes getting tighter. So when they get off the airplane, they will notice their shoes are tighter. So it's not your imagination. You have taken on some fluid and gas. It can take anywhere from 1 to 7 days for that water and gas weight to pass. It just depends how sensitive your body is to air travel. So keep that in mind, that when you've gone on vacation, if you come home and you know you're eating sensibly and the scale is up a few pounds, chances are, if you were traveling via airplane, that it is just travel weight and it will pass. So don't have a panic attack, okay? When in doubt, reach out, ask us anyway. We're here to calm you down. We've got your back. Then the other thing, wait, I've got some questions coming in. Wait, sorry, just trying to see. Somebody asked, is Bragg's allowed and nutritional yeast? Bragg's liquid aminos, Yes, one of my favorite also is the Bragg's, their seasonings. I think I don't remember what it's called, but it's got like 20 different seasonings all in one sprinkle. There is some dried, you will see the word vinegar listed. It has no impact in this context. Everything is dried and it's tried and tested, so I can confirm that the Bragg's sprinkles are allowed. Unfortunately, the answer on nutritional yeast is no. Nutritional yeast, a tiny bit, has a high level of protein, and it will counterbalance the chemistry of the plant. I will say, look, if you're doing a teeny, teeny, tiny pinch, not a problem. But usually, one of the reasons we say no is often if we say tiny pinch, we find out people are using half a bottle, and that is sabotaging their weight loss success. And we don't ever want to set you up for sabotage. So a tiny, tiny pinch, which can actually add a little bit of a cheesy flavor to something. So, for example, I was making some little zucchini pizzettes, and there were little zucchini slices, and I put a little tomato paste on it, and I sprinkled a tiny pinch of nutritional yeast and made a little pizzette, which was really yummy. But it's just such a teeny, teeny tight pinch of nutritional yeast that it wouldn't sabotage. But anything more than that would be a problem. So if you're really looking for its use, that's a stay away. Yeast in general can be used. People were asking, again, some people are toying around with the Singoda flour. And again, that's the flour that is made from water chestnuts. Let me verify, water chestnuts, not chestnuts, still no nuts and seeds. Also, to clarify, people have been asking about everything but the bagel seasonings. It's the first seasoning we've come across that we have to say no because it's primarily seeds. And again, there are no nuts and seeds while on the program, but there are so many seasonings. Oh, also truffle salt came up. Truffle salt, mega yes. I hear it. I haven't tried it yet. I hear it's a gourmet delight on recipes. So I'm keeping my eye out for that. But as a general rule, we really hadn't come across any other seasonings or sprinkles that the answer would be no. So if it's primarily seeds, we're going to walk away from that. But any other spice and seasoning is allowed. But yeast on its own, the answer is yes. So if people are trying to experiment with things they can do with the Singoda flour, the answer is yes. Do feel free to try it out with yeast, baking soda, baking powder. All of them are a yes. So we might be able to come up with some interesting creations. Still not that sophisticated in the kitchen, so haven't experimented that much. Not sure that I have the capability, but I may give it a try one of these days and I'll let you know. But again, Singoda flour, which is water chestnut flour, is a yes, and you'll find some fun, interesting recipes like Indian flatbread. Somebody's made dumplings, eggplant meatballs, and somebody even made pie crust and used the almost perfectly peach cobbler, which I guess is now perfectly peach cobbler because you've got a pie crust. So there are ways to enjoy these things. Oh, the other thing, and I want to say thank you, Doc Abby. I haven't had a chance to try it yet, but our beloved palmini, and those are the linguine noodles that are made from heart of palm. Apparently, they just came out with lasagna noodles. I believe Stacy, Heaven, I think there's another brand that is now doing heart of palm pastas, and they do also have a lasagna noodle. So I have no idea how it is, but I'm really intrigued to try it, and hope to report back to you soon as I order it and get it in and start to experiment. But again, I can't say enough about my family's love of the palmini noodles, because we do use that both on and on Acuvate, on and off Acuvate, or in Acuvate maintenance on a regular basis. It's a staple in our household now.